I try to be objective with all of my sports coverage, and listen, Jacy Sheldon objectively should be suspended for this play. I just don't know in what world, in what universe you watch that play back and you go, that was a basketball play. She was trying to make a basketball move, especially with all the angles of this.
The newest scandal, and the frustration a vicious is boiling and dangerous over. Play by Jacy Sheldon that
WNBA
targeted
universe.
none other than Caitlin Clark, women's basketball's most valued player and the league's
Fans
best
have
draw,
had enough.
has left fans in
latest
the
outrage?
WNBA universe
A brutal
fuming
and
and
wrong.
furious.
Last night
Fans
at the
are
United
demanding
Center,
the one
Fever
thing that
proved
could
they're not
truly
just a
make a
one-woman
difference,
reckless play
a
by
painful
Jacy Sheldon
financial
that
penalty
targeted none
after
other than
what
Caitlin
appeared
Clark.
to be a flagrant
Women's-
attack. If you agree, the league should suspend Sheldon's comment
Basketball's
below.
most valuable player
Let's
and the
move
league's
on.
greatest draw.
Sheldon was clearly targeting Caitlin Clark most of this game. And that is, that comes from a function of, she guarded her in one-on-one situations a lot up the court, and then rolled into a lot of doubles in the half court. But there was talking and chirping all game. And for me, it was punctuated by Caitlin Clark's final play before she came out of the game, where she stares Jacy Sheldon down essentially demonstrates, she's like, if you poke me in my eye, I will shoot it in yours. And she crosses her, finds the favorite spot, free throw line extended from the logo area, big U3 to Jacy Sheldon, yells at the Connecticut bench, yells at the crowd.
From TikTok to Twitter, fans are calling for a suspension,
Posts
not
demanding
just a
accountability.
slap on the wrist, but a career-ending suspension that sends a
overtaken
clear
sports
message
forums
to the rest
with
of the league
hashtags like
that if the
ban Jacy
referees
Sheldon
don't step
trending
up and protect Caitlin Clark on the court, it's time for the league office to enforce justice from the top down. The outrage is spreading like wildfire,
Real
with
time.
posts demanding accountability
demanding
taking
a
over
suspension,
sports
not
forums
just a
and
slap on the
hashtags
wrist.
like ban JCS Sheldon trending in real time.
Every time Caitlin Clark takes the court, her opponents act like they've been booked for a main event brawl. The WNBA is doing nothing about it. Opponents aren't playing ball. They're strategically ambushing her. They're trying to injure her. Opponents bring chaos. She brings composure. And what Sophie did last night is completely valid. The WNBA has to do something about this.
The
moment
event that
reignited
rekindled this
firestorm
controversy occurred
happened
during what
a
should have been a
supposed
routine Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun game, but instead it turned into yet another horrific chapter in the story of Caitlin Clark being singled out. And this time it was so obviously
team
obscene
matchup
that even
between
the
the
most
Indiana
casual
Fever and the
fans
Connecticut
couldn't
Sun.
ignore it. Clark.
Instead,
Jacy Sheldon. There is a legitimate hatred there. If you guys have heard this Ohio State team, this 2023 Ohio State team hated that Iowa team. And this is Jacy Sheldon, who was Caitlin Clark's direct matchup in these games. Like I tweeted out, forget Angel, forget Dejanay. This is Caitlin Clark's one true right.
Jacy
Instead of
Sheldon
merely
didn't just
reaching
reach
in for
on
defense,
She lunged
Jacy
and jabbed
Sheldon
her fingers
lunged and
directly
jabbed her fingers into Caitlin Clark's eye with
into
surgical
Caitlin
malice,
Clark's eye with surgical
smiling
malice,
as if she had
grinning like
just
she
won
just
a
won a
carnival prize. The smirk that followed sent shivers down the spines of
prize.
fans everywhere.
The smirk afterwards
This wasn't a
sent chills
careless
through
reach.
fans everywhere.
Rather, it was a calculated move against the one player who is currently carrying the
This
league
wasn't a
on her
clumsy
back.
reach-in.
Funny thing about that whole Caitlyn and JC situation last night is it's like on a if you know thing. These two have been running the friendly fade on the court for like the last 4 years. They played in college, had great battles, so I'm not surprised last night happened.
Clark tripped and
As
flinched from
Clark
the eye
stumbled
poke,
and reeled
but
from
it
the
didn't
eye
end
poke,
there.
Sheldon
When it
continued
seemed
her
like
attack.
things couldn't get any worse, Marina Maberry came from behind and used the opportunity to
Shot with no
blindside
basketball
Clark
value,
with a
no
shove
intention of
that
going
sent
for the
her
ball.
crashing to the
And
hardwood.
just when it
Where were the referees during all of this, blinking and sipping invisible tea as if nothing had happened? Sheldon continued her attack, grabbing Clark's arm and digging her nails in a cheap shot with no basketball value and no intention
looked
of
like
going
things
for the
couldn't get
ball.
worse.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so, at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
Within
Fans
hours,
immediately responded
fans
with the
reacted
fury of
with the
crowd
rage
that's
of a
been
crowd
ignored
that
for
has
far
been
too-
ignored
trying
for
to
too
pitch
long.
ad space now.
The internet was ablaze
Well,
with
we had
calls
2
for
million viewers,
suspensions,
but our stars
fines,
sidelined.
and bans, and
Sponsors are
Sheldon's
watching,
social media
networks are
accounts
watching,
were swamped with
everyone knows what's
criticism.
coming, and so
Sheldon
does
wasn't
Stephen
being
A.,
treated
who's
like a
already loaded up
competitive
the receipts
competitor.
for the inevitable
Rather,
ratings collapse.
she was being called out as a
Within
spiteful
hours,
agitator who
Sheldon's
had
social
no right
media
to
was
use
buried
dirty
under a
tactics
There,
to
just couldn't
target
knock
the
it
league's
down.
face.
Clark off the
Some were
screen.
upset, while
Clark
others were
launches.
devastated.
Hit
But
situation.
everyone
Wave of
agreed that
criticism,
something had
and the
to be
internet
done.
lit up with
Look at it from behind or from the side. It's so obvious that she straight up leapt out towards Caitlyn and got her right in the eye. And the more I try and watch it back and you try to be objective, there is no world where this was a basketball play. And yes, she was playing tough defense on Caitlyn up until that point, but she leapt forward, and it's not like it's defensible where you can say she tried to get the ball, because her hand at that point was so far away from where the ball was. It's not like Caitlyn was dribbling the ball up near her face. How she was not ejected for this, I don't know. The broadcast was talking about it, and that's why Sophie Cunningham even had the opportunity to hard foul her at the end. I don't know what you do, but the league's got...
While
Mainstream
Dave
media
Portnoy
even
from
jumped in.
Barstool Sports branded
Late-night
Sheldon
hosts
and
and
Maberry
sports
as
personalities.
jealous loser punks who should be playing rec league ball instead
couldn't
of
ignore
sharing
it
a
either.
professional court
Jimmy
with
Fallon
someone like Clark.
took a break from jokes.
The mainstream media even jumped in. Late-night hosts and sports personalities couldn't ignore it. Jimmy Fallon took a break from jokes to deliver a serious
to send a
message
serious
on
message on national
television.
television.
Protect Caitlyn
Protect
Clark, at,
Caitlyn
all
Clark
costs,
at all costs.
and enough is
Enough
enough.
is enough.
We'd stop the fighting. He thought they meant the WNBA. What is going on? Protect Caitlyn Clark at all costs, please. Enough of this. Please.
But to understand
Dr.
why this
Ryan
moment
Brewer,
hit such
a
a nerve,
financial
you have
expert
to
from
understand what
Indiana
Caitlyn Clark
University
means to the
Columbus,
WNBA.
claims
Trying
that
to pitch ad
Caitlyn
space
Clark
now.
is not just a star,
Well, we had
but
2
also
million
the
viewers, but
economic
our stars
engine
sidelined.
driving the WNBA's
watching.
expansion, which
She
is
isn't
why
just a
this
star.
moment struck
She's the
such a
economic
chord.
engine powering
In her
the league's
debut
growth.
season, Clark was in charge of an astounding
According to
26.5%
Dr.
of
Ryan
all
Brewer, a
WNBA
finance
economic
expert from
activity,
Indiana University
which is
Columbus.
more than a quarter of the league's income generated by a single player who,
Clark was
incidentally,
responsible for an
was only
eye-popping
earning
26.5% of all
$76,535. According to Brewer's predictions,
NBA economic
Clark
activity
is
in her
expected
rookie
to bring in nearly $1
That's over
billion
a quarter of
for
the
the
league's revenue driven
WNBA
by
in
a
2025 alone. This isn't a
single
typo,
player,
it's
who,
marketing.
by the way, was
She is
making just
perhaps the most significant player in
$76,535
women's
player.
basketball
And let's
history
just say,
thanks to the
he
hype.
didn't exactly
So the
roll out the
notion
red
that she is
carpet
being
for-
singled out and
Think
left
that's wild?
unprotected every night
Brewer
is not
estimates
only
that Clark
incorrect,
is on track player.
but also
And let's just
crazy
say,
and
he didn't
constitutes
exactly roll out the
corporate
red carpet for
malpractice.
Listen, bring Caitlyn Clark to the NBA right now, because the refs ain't gonna protect her. She only got one teammate, and that's her, who gonna do something about it. Like, yo, yesterday, that's malice in the palace activity. Call for it. That y'all should have been throwing hands all over the place. How do you get poked in the eye, then get thrown to the ground, and then you receive a technical foul? And don't none of your teammates want to step up, fight, squabble, none of that. They just looking like, yo, it's been, we know that y'all been targeting Caitlyn Clark now. Now I'm even watching. I'm like, hold on, what? Like, how are y'all letting this happen? How are y'all not protecting this girl? Now, she clearly is a superstar, right? But there's plenty superstars in the WNBA, and don't none of them get treated the way Caitlyn Clark get treated. No, y'all gonna mess up and ruin the whole numbers, your ratings, your spawn, all that, if y'all don't have Caitlyn Clark in y'all's league. So y'all better start acting right.
much
When a
influence on
player's
league
impact
visibility,
on league awareness, ticket
TV
sales,
ratings,
TV ratings, and
and let's just
sponsor
say,
interest
he didn't
is
exactly
that great,
roll out the
allowing
red
her to
carpet
be
for sponsor
abused
interest,
with no real
allowing her to be assaulted
repercussions
without
is
serious
not only a
consequences
poor
there.
impression,
And let's just
it
say,
is a disastrous
he didn't
failure.
exactly roll out the
The
red carpet for
WNBA's handling
just
of
a
the
bad look.
JCS Sheldon
It's a
incident
catastrophic
has left
failure.
fans shaking their heads in
and let's
shock.
just say,
If
he
this
didn't
were any
exactly
other
roll out
sport
the
with
red
any
carpet
other
for-
league,
if this were any
there would
other
be
sport
ejections,
with any other
fines,
league, there would be
suspensions,
ejections,
and
fine.
statements by
And let's just
Sunrise.
say, he
But
didn't
here we are
exactly
with
roll out the
Clark
red
being
carpet
hunted
for
on the court while
suspensions and
referees
statements by
shrug and the
Sunrise.
league
Yet
quietly
here we
shuffles
are,
paperwork.
with Clark being hunted
It's like
there.
punishing
And
a
let's just say,
firefighter for
he
putting
didn't
out a
exactly
fire
roll out
while
the red
letting the
carpet for on
arsonist
the
off
court
with a warning.
while referees shrugged
Sheldon
and the
received a
league
flagrant
quietly
one
shuffles
foul,
paperwork.
hardly more than a slap on the wrist. For what
Received
fans
a
are
mere
calling a
flagrant one
blatant
foul,
attack on
barely a
Caitlyn
slap on
Clark,
the wrist.
while Sophie
For what
Cunningham,
fans
the only player who had the courage to stand up for Clark,
calling a blatant
received
attack
a flagrant
on Caitlyn
2
Clark.
along with an additional
Meanwhile,
fine.
Sophie Cunningham,
Let's get this
the only
straight.
player
this has been a very contentious 12 hours since the game. A lot of people on ESPN saying ridiculous things, like Monica McNutt saying she had no problem with Marina Mabry's foul. And I look at that in comparison to the Sophie Cunningham foul, which I have seen people say has no place in the league, unsportsmanlike, when that actually is a lot more sportsmanlike than the Marina Mabry one. Marina Mabry was completely disconnected from the play, had nothing to do with it. There was no play even going on when Marina Mabry did that.
And fans aren't just angry. They're organizing online petitions calling for harsher punishments for violent birds. These petitions have amassed thousands of signatures in record time, and Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms have been ablaze with outrage.
You name it.
Fans aren't just venting, though. They're suggesting tangible changes. Many are demanding tens of thousands of dollars in fines,
They're proposing concrete
arguing
reforms.
that anything less than a month's salary isn't a serious penalty. Some are even proposing that Clark receive a portion of the fines as compensation for the frequent physical abuse
Many
she
are
has
calling for
experienced
fines
on
in
the
the range
court.
of tens of
And
thousands
to
of
be
dollars,
honest,
saying
the
that
reasoning
anything less
behind
than a
this is
month's
sound.
salary isn't a
It not only would the WNBA lose a star, but it would also lose millions of dollars in potential revenue if the eye poke had truly damaged Clark's vision. Clark is more than simply a player. She is the force behind ticket sales. Every time she takes the court,
Some are
she
even
boosts
suggesting
TV
that part of
ratings
those
and
fines
clears up
should go
product
directly to
shelves,
Clark.
which benefits local businesses and TV viewing source. The league still treats her like
As
an
a form of
expendable
restitution
despite the
for the
fact that
repeated
she has a
physical
draw
abuse
that
she's
is
endured on the
impossible
court.
to duplicate.
What you have in Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent. She was massively successful in college, and that's transcended into the WNBA, where she's leaps and bounds above pretty much most every player there. You're allowing her to get beaten up on the regular during games, flagrant fouls, people trying to take her eye out. That's happened a couple different times last year and this year.
Let's
The
discuss
Indiana
numbers.
Fever saw their
The
franchise
reason
valuation
behind the
skyrocket
Indiana
from
Fever's
$90 million
franchise
to
valuation
$340
soaring from $90 million to $340 million
And it's
is
no
obvious.
mystery who made that happen.
After letting that
Caitlin
sink
Clark.
in,
Let that
Caitlin
sink
Clark
in.
considered that Jacy Sheldon's punishment for attempting to remove that
And
billion-dollar
then think about
asset
the
was
fact that
essentially
Jacy Sheldon's
couch-changed.
punishment for trying
It's
to take
not
out
just
that
offensive.
billion-dollar...
It's incredibly careless, reckless, and short-sighted. Additionally, the conversation is changing, with fans now demanding that Clark
asset
receive direct
was essentially
financial
couch-changed.
compensation instead
not
of
just
just
insulting,
calling for
it's
Sheldon to be
negligent.
suspended. Payment for the abuse she has endured this season,
Reckless and
and they are
short-sighted
correct.
beyond belief.
The league is allowing that golden
conversation is
goose to
shifting.
get clobbered game after game, reaping the benefits of her presence while refusing to provide the most basic protections.
Fans aren't
Clark's
just calling
salary
for
is a
Sheldon's
pitiful
suspension anymore.
$78,000.
They're demanding that
despite
Clark
the fact
player,
that she
and
is in
let's just
charge
say,
of
he
nearly
didn't
$1
exactly
billion
roll out the
in
red
league
carpet to
revenue,
receive direct
a
financial
return on
compensation
investment
for the
that
beating
any
she's taken
Fortune
this season.
500 company would
And
be
they're not
proud
wrong.
of.
An A-level star, and they don't even have B and C-level stars. From A, it drops to D. She is the entire league. And they allow things like this to happen last night against the Connecticut Sun.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
Ooh, and Marina Mabry. I missed that one, Edona.
Oh, I missed that one too.
Like, it wasn't just a hard foul accident. Like, there's nothing Caitlin Clark has done in response at this point. So what's the point in bowing up into her face? And immediately, I don't think Caitlin's even extended her arm to push her away. Maybe the coaching is, hey, if you're physical with Caitlin Clark, it's one of the only ways to stop her.
Yes.
So, like, they're all encouraged to be really physically aggressive. But it's hard not to look at this and think there's animus towards her. You got to protect Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA.
However, it's difficult not to think that there is animosity toward her that you must defend when you look at this. According to one proposal circulating, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA, should receive a protection bonus system whereby a player's salary should be automatically transferred to her each time they commit a flagrant foul against her. Another option is for the league to step up and give Clark bonus compensation for enduring what amounts to open season targeting with everything she brings brings
roll
to
out
the
the red
table
carpet for what
financially,
amounts to open season
culturally,
targeting.
and competitively.
With everything she
This would
brings
be
to the
both
table,
just
player.
and
And let's just
strategic,
say,
and
he didn't
she
exactly
shouldn't have to
roll out the
rely
red
on
carpet
public
for
outrage to get the
financially,
justice she
culturally,
is
and
entitled to,
competitively.
let's face it.
It would be both, player.
The penalty
And let's
system
just
would
say,
look very
he didn't
different
exactly
if the
roll out the red
WNBA had
carpet for
even the
just
slightest
and
concern
strategic.
for safeguarding
She
its
shouldn't have to
billion-dollar
rely on
investment.
public outrage to get the
We're
just
not
player.
talking about
And
petty
let's just
change.
say, he
Real
didn't exactly
deterrence
roll
would
out the
include
red
minimum
carpet for
fines
She's
of
owed.
$25,000
Let's get
for
serious.
behavior similar
If the
to Sheldon's,
WNBA cared
which
even
is
a little
roughly a
about
quarter of what
and let's
many
just say,
players earn in
he
a
didn't
season.
exactly roll out
That
the red
amount
carpet
makes you
for
wonder if
protecting its
fans want to
billion-dollar
automatically
investment. The
suspend
punishment
players
system
for
would look
more than
very different.
$50,000 before they engage in dirty conduct. The
We're not
idea
talking
is to
chump
simply
change.
show respect for
Real
the
deterrence
superstar
would mean
or
minimum
risk
fines
dire
of
repercussions.
$25,000.
Caitlin Clark is non-disrespectable. That's not even a word, but I'm going to just use it for the point of my video. You cannot disrespect the nucleus of women's basketball and act like it's not going to be a problem, man. Oh, Caitlin Clark could do this, but other people can't. You goddamn right. Because she's the center of women's basketball. We've said this a million times. Clark changed the game. She is the nucleus, the center, the black hole. Everything revolves around Clark with women's
Even
basketball.
more
What is
is the
causing the
blatant
fire to burn?
inconsistency from the refs.
Even worse is the
Over and
referee's
over again.
repeated,
When Clark's name
flagrant
starts dominating
inconsistency.
MVP conversations
Violent
before the
attacks are
season,
dismissed,
clear fouls are
obvious
ignored,
fouls are
violent hits are brushed
disregarded,
off,
and Clark
is
is
left
left to
absolutely
take the
wrong.
brunt of the punishment
Last night
as
at the
the
United Center, the
instigators
Fever
glide
proved they're
by.
not just a one
When
woman
someone
ordering the
does step up to
punishment
protect
while the
her,
instigators skate
they are the
by.
ones who are
And when
punished.
someone
It's an outdated system that encourages the exact
Emily
kind
steps
of
up to
risky
defend her,
behavior that could
they're
lead
the
to
ones who get
Clark's career
penalized.
ending too
It's a
soon.
back-
Let's face it, the atmosphere the league is creating is not
system
only
that's
unfair,
incentivizing the
but
exact
dangerous.
kind of dangerous
How
behavior
can
that
anyone
could
call
end
this a
Caitlin
professional
Clark is the
league when
moment,
its most
and Paige is
marketable
still
star
waiting for her
is
Clark's
treated
career
like a
prematurely.
tackling dummy?
How
Caitlin
can
Clark
anyone
is
call
being
this a
ignored by
professional
those
league
who
when
ought to be looking out for her
she
the
hasn't
most.
just made an impact.
If nothing
She's
changes,
completely redefined
the
its
risk
most
is
marketable
not
star
only
is
that
treated
she will
like a
get
tackling
hurt,
dummy.
but that she will
Let's
move
be
to a
blunt,
different
Caitlin
league
Clark is the
where
moment,
European
and Paige is
clubs are
still waiting
already
for her.
skulking around.
This environment
Ready
the
to give
league
her
is
better
fostering.
treatment,
It's not
better
just unfair,
compensation, and
it's on
most
Caitlin Clark is the
importantly,
moment,
better
and
protection.
Paige is still waiting
The
for her. Safe.
WNBA is on the verge of
Caitlin
collapse
Clark is being
and
left
may
out
not
to
have
dry
another
by the people who
opportunity
should
to
be
turn things
protecting her.
around.
Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. Every game she is dropping golden eggs, and they are trying to strangle the golden goose to death. There's jealousy. There is hate. Everyone in the league seems to hate the fact that Caitlin Clark is making the league relevant. If I were advising Caitlin Clark, I would say start your own pro basketball league for women. I don't know why she benefits from the WNBA at all. She could go out. She is the draw for women's basketball and set up her own league. She might even be able to own the majority of the league. She could probably become a billionaire, set it up with far fewer teams. You play far fewer games. Heck, they did it with Live Golf. I think the audience would follow Caitlin Clark wherever
Time
she...
to fix this.
Although there
But
is
the
still
solution
time to
requires
address
the WNBA to
this,
face
the
a hard
WNBA
truth.
must confront a harsh reality in order to find a solution.
Wrong.
Sheldon's
Last
fine
night at the
should be
United
at
Center,
least
the Fever proved they're not just a one-woman
$25,000, and she should be sitting out multiple games. Caitlin Clark is more than just a player. She is the foundation of their future. Until they start treating her like that, with real consequences for cheap shots and real rewards for her impact, they are playing a risky game of roulette with their own survival. Clark deserves a compensation system that reflects her value, and any referee who fails to protect her should be held accountable, and if you concur that the league ought to halt her comment, halt Sheldon
Caitlin Clark
below.
isn't just a player.
Like, subscribe.
She's the cornerstone of their
and
future.
enable all alerts
And
so
until
you don't
they
miss
player.
anything.
And let's just say,
we'll see you in
he
the
didn't
next
exactly
one
roll
after
out
you
the
click
red
the
carpet
video
for
on the
start treating
screen.